What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and now that the mid-season reinforcement patch for Rainbow Six Siege has been out for a while, I wanted to put together a quick video giving my opinion on the individual changes, plus as an added bonus I will be tackling a long overdue viewer request. So let's get this show started. Let's start out with the most exciting and most talked about change in this update, and that is of course the reworking of Lord Tachanka's mighty machine gun. The fact that once Tachanka enters his mounted machine gun he becomes rooted to the spot not only made him very vulnerable to flanks in the past, but even to head-on attacks. As soon as you figured out where he was, you could take him out quite easily, and that resulted in a very low pick rate. To help him out, the devs added a 3-piece shield to his machine gun. This shield protects Tachanka's head from frontal attacks, and if you combine it with a shield that can be put down, Tachanka now has a very much improved survival capability against attacks from a specific direction. He still remains vulnerable to flanking attacks, but at least now he has a purpose. He can hold down a very specific angle and do it well. And while this is a great improvement, I think that the other changes made to the machine gun balance it out perfectly. Okay, calling it perfect at this stage might be a bit premature, so let me wind that back and say balance it out quite well. The added recoil and bullet spread is quite significant. So whereas before you could just hold down the trigger and hose down an entire area, you now have to be a little bit more conservative with your fire, using short bursts rather than longer ones. And of course with the shield in front of your face, your view is somewhat restricted, which again goes towards balancing out the improvements. So overall, even though it's still early days, I think the changes made to Tachanka are pretty good. They're well thought out, they've given him a purpose, and they've made him useful while trying to ensure to not overpower him. Whether or not that means that we'll actually see any strategies developed that make use of his machine gun, that remains to be seen, I guess. And while we're at it, speaking of bulletproof shields, we can actually segue quite nicely to speaking about poor old Blackbeard. I really like Blackbeard, and that's not just because it was clearly modelled after me. I mean, they used the same ear defenders that I have, and they also took my beard. So yes, rumours confirmed, I am Blackbeard. But all silliness aside, Blackbeard used to be an absolute beast. I mean, it was only a month ago that his face shield still had 800 hit points, and then it was taken down to 150, and now they've backed it all the way down to 60. So now at relatively close range, a single shot from some weapons can instantly destroy the shield. And I get that Blackbeard basically had a 100% pick rate for every game, and that in any situation he'd usually at least be able to do a 1-for-1 trade, but combat is meant to be his speciality. I mean, he doesn't have special breaching tools or all sorts of fancy electronic gadgets. His gadget, his tool is 100% designed to make him a better combatant and take out enemies. And considering how much this ability has been weakened over the last month, I'm a bit concerned that he might be balanced down so far that he would lose his advantage in combat, and without that, well, what does he have? Again, only time will tell if the devs got it right with this change, but I guess considering the amount of data that they have available to them, the changes to the shield strength as well as the required aiming time will have been well thought out. A different set of changes that I'm quite excited about are those to Fuse's cluster charges. Not only does he get an extra one, but the devs have also upped the nuisance factor. And I say nuisance factor because it's actually only the non-lethal damage radius that has been increased, while the kill radius still remains at sort of 1.2 meters for heavy armor and up to 2 meters for light armor. And it seems as if the increased damage radius is also against breakable surfaces. I mean, look at the floor here, there's massive holes. So you'll also be doing more damage to the interior of the building rather than just the enemies. And going back to the defenders, another thing that I've enjoyed playing around with is the increased throwing power for Smoke's gas canisters. Before, you could really only ever use them as traps because you could only throw them a short distance and they flew very slowly. Like nitro cells, now that they throw like grenades, you can be a lot more flexible and offensive with them. So yeah, that definitely gets a big thumbs up from me as well. And last but not least, there's also been some great improvements to the OTS-03 sniper rifle. I demonstrated its unique breaching capabilities in my last video. I'll put a link to that in the end card, but of course this rifle's main purpose is not actually to be a breaching device, but to be an offensive weapon. And again, I really have to say I like the changes in this latest patch. The fire rate has doubled while the centering time has gone down by 50% and the first shot recoil decreased by 60%. Since this is a single shot rifle, every shot is the first shot, so it's reduced recoil all round. And all three of these changes of course make it far easier to shoot quickly with the rifle. And once again I think this is a great change, increasing the capabilities of maybe an underappreciated and underutilized character. And at the end of the day, I really appreciate the time and effort that goes in to try to balance the different characters, because what's the point of having a large roster when you just end up playing with the same handful of characters every time? And that wraps up the major changes included in the patch, but beyond that, almost every gun has been tweaked in some way or another. But these tweaks are really just very subtle. I thought I'd test it out on the P90, which has had its centering time quadrupled. And while that sounds like a lot, I couldn't really notice any significant change while using the gun. So I guess unless you're an expert specialized on a particular weapon, I don't think you'll really feel a great difference. So those are my opinions on the changes included in the recent patch, and overall I have to say I'm quite happy with what's changed. And with that, let's wrap this video up by tackling a viewer request. Quite a while ago, the Mighty Shrub asked me about the killing capability of breaching charges. Apologies for taking a while to get around to this, but as they say, better late than never. To start this out, let's just quickly recap what I found out when I was testing Hibana's X-Kairos, just in case you missed that video. Getting hit by one of the 6 pellets fired from her breaching grenade launcher is about as deadly as having a medium-sized pebble thrown at you. No matter where the breaching pellet hits you, arm, leg, body or head, the damage is always a rather pathetic 1 hit point. Getting caught in the explosion of the pellets is slightly more damaging, but only slightly. Even if you're wearing light armor and you get as close as possible to the explosions, each pellet will only do 4 points of damage. That means the maximum damage you can do to an enemy is 72 points. Uncomfortable, but definitely not deadly. Now, how does that compare to Ash's grenade launcher? Well, Ash's breaching grenade, just like the pellets from the X-Kairos, has no damage drop-off, so the distance from which you're hit, as well as the location where you're hit, head, body or limbs, makes no difference in terms of the damage you take. I should also add that the level of armor you're wearing also makes no difference. And as you will have probably seen from the numbers on screen by now, the damage done by the breaching grenades is exactly 50. So 2 shots will kill you, whereas 1 shot will only half kill you. And of course, if we're covering breaching devices, we should also take a look at Thermite's Thermite Charge. This device acts just like the other breaching charges, and the damage drop-off is extreme. Up to a distance of just about 2 meters, it will kill you instantly, whereas from about 2.5 meters onwards, you feel nothing at all. And this goes no matter what side of the wall you're on. The only thing to keep in mind, of course, is if you're on the other side of the wall, the distance measurement will be slightly off. So here, even though it says just under 2 meters, it's actually slightly further, and I managed to hit just the spot where it injures but doesn't kill. But hitting that spot is quite difficult, so with these breaching charges, as with the normal breaching charges, it's pretty much one or the other. If you're too close, and you have to be very, very close, you die. If you're about 2.5 meters away, you're 100% safe. So there you have it, my thoughts on some of the updates from the recent patch and a bonus viewer request on top. Lord Chunker and Papa Urs, don't worry, I've not forgotten about you, I'm just kind of slow at making videos. And that's it for today. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next episode. And if I don't manage to get another video out by the end of the week, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.